Welcome to Trick of the Week. In this one, we're going to look at a really simple idea for your right hand that helps you have greater accuracy when you're picking and lets you pick out which strings you need to strum and not hit the ones you don't want to strum. You'll often see, if you're reading tablature, times when you don't need to hit all 4 strings. Sometimes you might be told to maybe just strum 2 strings or 3 strings because the melody is falling on a string lower than your A string. So you might have a point in the tune that does this. All 4 strings, all 4 strings, all 4 strings, but when we get to this melody note, and this one, and this one, if I hit the first string, we're going to get a rogue note above the melody that's going to spoil the effect. And when people see that in tablature, they often assume that they have to then get their thumb and fingers and just pick those strings rather than strum, because if they strum, they're going to hit the first string. Other times when you're playing tablature, you might find that there's a single note run like this. And you might be having difficulty just picking out that one string and not having strings around it ringing. This is going to fix that. We're going to look at something called the rest stroke. This exists in lots of musical instruments techniques, but it's particularly associated with the classical guitar. And the rest stroke is a really simple idea. When we pluck the strings with either finger or thumbs, I'm going to show you with both, we often find ourselves doing this. Plucking the string and my hand, I'm exaggerating, but my hand going out into the air. That's a free stroke. That's a stroke where you pluck and leave the strings to ring. There are times when, certain pieces demand that because you don't want to stop a previous string ringing. However, a really common one is the rest stroke, which is when we play a string and land on the next string. And of course, if I was playing with my fingers, I could do the same thing. I could pluck, but this time my finger would land on the string this side of it. If I play my C string and land on the E string, I know where my C string is. I can find it easily. It's just there, just above where my thumb has found a reference point. If I'm reading music, and I see this all the time with finger pickers who are plucking into the air with finger and thumb like this, is that they will be looking down to make sure they're plucking the right string. If you're doing that, you can't be looking at any music you might have in front of you, you can't be looking at your left hand, and also all anyone sees is the top of your head when you're playing. There'll come a moment where you are forced to look at something else and this will fall to pieces. Having that rest stroke gives you that reference point, so I can play that string over and over again without going, oh, I'm hitting a wrong one because I don't know where I am. Even if I'm resting my fingers here, but even if I have a free floating hand, I can still use that to find where I am. The other thing it's going to do is stop the next string accidentally ringing. So instead of this, trying to pluck that string and accidentally catching another string, it can't ring because as I land on it, I'm muting that string. So it helps for a cleaner sound when you're playing single note runs, because you're never going to catch the next string and accidentally hear 2. It's also helpful for those partial chords, those chords that maybe need to stop on the E string to avoid a higher melody note, like this. Oh, that chord there needs to be 3. It'd be very difficult for me to strum this, then pick those 3, then go back to strumming that. I can do it all with my thumb because all I do is when I strum that chord, I make sure I land on that string, and just a little bit of digging in just stops me accidentally plucking that one. And then I can get nice clean melodies even when I'm playing a chord and a melody that only needs 3 strings. This is also, as I said before, you can do it with your fingers. You can combine it, so when you're doing thumb notes, you're landing on that string. When you're playing finger notes, you're landing on the string here. You can't do it all the time because you might end up landing a thumb on a string your finger's about to play. But it's certainly something you can do when it's possible in order to clean up finger picking and to make your hand more efficient, and so that we don't get this plucking out into the air business, which is just going to make your hand get lost really and not be able to keep a nice rhythm. So have a go at this little exercise. Play your C6 chord, no fingers, just strumming down with your thumb, and then see if you can play just your G, C and E strings, not the A string, but land on the A string. Then see if you can play just your G and C strings and land on the E string. Then see if you can play just the G string and land on the C string. And then when you can do that, go back up but one string. So instead of playing a chord, just try and play your C string and land on your E string. And just play your E string and land on your A string. Hopefully it'll make your right hand picking, melody playing, chord melody playing so much easier to achieve without having to look down at your hand, and everything will sound much cleaner without those rogue notes ringing out. I hope this has helped, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.